to a public company. So we were successful. We ramped back up to about 75 employees. But during 2001, we went from 45 people to 14 people. So it was really difficult. In 2008, we, again, market starts to go down. Market drops in half. We then say, what do we got to do? Tighten the belts, refocus. Employees took pay cuts. We actually invested into building a fulfillment center. During economic downturns, it's also times to take as an opportunity. We're able to buy our equipment cheaper. We're able to, do things a little bit cheaper. We built out a fulfillment center, and over the course of the 2 years of the sort of the recession or the downturn, 2008 to 2009, we were able to survive. And actually, I was looking at this, trying to compare what I think is going to happen in the next 2 years to what happened in 2008 and 2009. And we're just about to open up a fulfillment center again, reopen the fulfillment center. And the question is, should we stop? Should we not put the money into opening the fulfillment center? And when I look back to 2008 and 2009, because of doing what we did, we were able to then survive 2008 and 2009 and actually grow. So it's an opportunity sometimes when you have economic downturn for companies that have a little bit of cash and creativity. That's what I found. So, here we are again facing another potential economic downturn, and even more so the concern of the employees, which is obviously heightened. I remember maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago talking to Audrey about sort of what we're doing, and it's like, okay, I'm not an alarmist. I think she may remember me. I said, I'm not an alarmist. So let's kind of take this slowly. And we told people in the company not to travel. If you traveled outside the area, I wanted to know. Before you know, we have the alert from Fitzgerald and Dr. I forget her name, the woman who was given the update as far as shutting down non-essential businesses. I then went back and revamped what we sent out to the employees. And most recently, we've moved to just basically everybody's on Slack. I don't know if, I'm sure most of our listeners know what Slack is. Everybody's telecommuting. We are reviewing our 2 to 3 year burn down. As a startup, we're not probably like a lot of the companies that have cash reserves and, a steady growing business. We're a startup. So you have to look at how much cash you have and how long can you go. So we're looking at our ramp now, assuming a 30% drop in the market, and assuming about a 2 year recovery. For us, again, this is just us. So I'm looking back at 2001 and 2008, and I'm just trying to figure out if we went through the same thing, what would we have to do? Our executives have volunteered a pay reduction. And so we're looking at all kinds of different ways to survive through what we think is going to be an economic downturn for quite a while.
Jason, so the timing of this is just absolutely crazy because it was supposed to be this Wednesday. We were supposed to be hanging out at Burgatory doing the launch of GiftYa. I was looking forward to milkshakes and burgers. Yes. Instead, yes. I'm in my attic right now. We're talking about how we're managing this very sudden downturn. So, I mean, obviously the timing couldn't be worse for you guys. How are you managing this? And can you also tell everyone here in the webcast a little bit more about what GiftYa does? Because I think your services is very, might be useful in these times as well too.
Awesome. Yeah. So we were obviously owning giftcards.com. We were a gift card business, and I sold that in 2016 to a public company. We went through a few year non-compete, and during that time we built a next generation gifting product that we believe will be a disruptor of the gift card product itself, because the product can't be lost. And being in the gift card business, I know a lot about fraud and criminal activity when you're talking about financial instruments that are non-traceable. So what GiftYa does is, Jonathan, if I got you a GiftYa for Crazy Mocha, I would just essentially need your cell phone number. I would then
give it to you right now. I'll give it to you right now.
Yeah. I could text you a gift for Crazy Mocha. You get a text from me. You would then link your Visa card in your pocket or your MasterCard. And then you'd forget about it. And you go to Crazy Mocha and you swipe your card because you go there every day to get coffee. And within seconds, you would get a text message saying, hey, you know what, Jason, the GiftYa that Jason just got you is now credited onto your Visa or your MasterCard. And so it eliminates, exchanging plastics, which right now is an issue. It
Mhm.
eliminates fraud because we identify who the people are, the buyer and the seller. You can buy a gift for anywhere in the country, and it eliminates plastics. I mean, there's about 13,000 tons of plastics that get um, put into our environment every year for single-use gift cards. So we're trying to eliminate that kind of stuff with GiftYa.
So for the big launch then, how have you guys changed this now? Is
Yeah,
there up
so
in
what we
play?
did, Jonathan, you're right. Audrey, we were going to have this event down at Burgatory. We had a PR firm, we had 260 merchants signed up locally. We're excited to launch it, and we had to put it on hold. So we postponed that. What we decided to do, we own this other website called Gift Card Granny, who still sells gift cards. And right now, the gift card itself is a good way to help businesses to get cash that they could, can use right now. So on our homepage of Gift Card Granny, you'll see it says save and support. And there are probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 restaurants that our users can click on and go buy a gift card. The gift card could be used in the future when they go to the restaurant, once we are able to go to the restaurants again. But those local merchants and national merchants can get cash in their pocket, which is what they need right now.
That is very, very cool. I think everyone should make a point to do that. We're using a local technology to help local companies. I just think that's amazing. So Jason, how are you keeping your team kind of activated now? I mean, everyone's tough. We're all in different locations. We're all using technologies like this to stay together. Any secrets to success that you've been finding so far?
Well, it's interesting because we have 4 or 5 people here that have been here quite a long time in terms of been through this before with me. Um, 2 gentlemen that I, off the top of my head, have been through the 2001 drop and the 2008. And we've seen this before. So for us, it's kind of like we used to have these things called war rooms where everybody would get together into a room and we'd be focused on what we're working on. And today we're using Slack. So we have Slack room set up for our marketing department, for our product and development department, and for our sales team. And every day we're getting on there on Slack, communicating with each other. And every day we're starting out with a kickoff, a 5 to 10 minute Slack call with everybody, just giving updates so we can actually talk and be humans, right? And so that's kind of how we're managing remote employees, because everybody's remote right now. We have almost 50 people here.
Very cool. Very cool.
So Jason, there's a question that someone has asked if I can reach out to you right now on this. So if you could, Jason, could you describe the burn down calculation and the 30% market reduction, specifically how that number changes over time in your mind?
So when I'm looking at the amount of cash that I have that I'd be willing to put into this investment, let's just pick a number. Let's say it's $5 million. And that $5 million I anticipated would last me prior to this event, would last me for, let's say, 2 years. Now that I think that sales are going to come down in terms of, I think, some percentage, and we said 30% compared to what we forecasted for the 2 or 3 years. I then have to look at the cash that I have to make sure it lasts that long. So as you can understand, it pushes everything out, and our cash has to last longer. So that's what I'm talking about when you look at how much money you have as a startup, how much cash, and then the reduction in the market. So our sales, I think, will not be forecasted where we thought we would be for the next couple of years. In fact, I'm decreasing that down 50%, 30 to 50%.
Look, here's another comment or question. Someone shared the idea of sending someone a gift card for coffee that they would have had they met in person, as a way to continue to support local businesses. And they immediately thought of GiftYa. So they want to thank you for already inventing new ways to support local businesses, but also if you have any reaction to that.
Yeah. So Amanda, I see your question there. It's great. So GiftYa is great for local merchants. We have millions across the country. We're focusing on market by market to launch in Pittsburgh. We anticipated launching here. The difference between a gift card and GiftYa is that with a gift card, and this is the reason why we're looking at gift card granny to try to get our focus on that in terms of trying to drive people to buy gift cards is because with gift cards, the funds go right to the merchant immediately. With GiftYa, they don't go directly to the merchant immediately. So I'd much rather right now, and the reason why we're not promoting GiftYa is because with GiftYa, the money goes into a bank account with an issuing bank. It doesn't go directly to the merchant. So we're slowing down our promotion of GiftYa and ramping up our promotion of Gift Card Granny because those funds do go directly to the merchants right away.
Huh.
And Jason, it's really hard to predict right now. That's most of the conversation that I'm having with people. This is a new world order. I'm not saying anything that anyone doesn't understand, but what are you as a leader doing to take care of yourself and your team right now? Because we're on an hour by hour, as I mentioned, that the governor is going to release something at 2 o'clock. That changes from where you were this morning.
Yeah, I mean, again, we are all working remotely. I think it's important to stay positive. I think it's important. I was slacking this morning about this with some leaders that like, let's just stay focused. If there's water cooler talk, that's okay. If there's questions, you could call me or text me. I'd much rather be in direct communication with folks than not. One thing we're also doing as you look at tightening, we talked about, is the executives by example, showing that, look, if we're going to have to make any layoffs or cuts, the executives are going to take the big cuts. If we're going to do that, and I'm working through that right now, I think that's, I was talking to another business owner this morning, and he said that they were going to do some cutting. I said, you really may want to think about the executives being the ones that bear the brunt of the most of this if you're going to do that kind of thing. So we are looking at that. My salary is $0. So I think things like that, if you're going to make cuts, I think are important. I think that, again, the water cooler talk that goes on, it's naturally people are afraid. I try to say, look, call me, text me, email me. I'm accessible. I'm on Slack. I'm not telling folks to just go on Slack. Hey, here's my director of technology. Hey, go on Slack and then let me know how things are going. No, I'm on Slack too. I'm there with them. I think it's important for us to all be rolling up our sleeves and being side by side with our folks right now.
Yeah. So, Jason, we have another question from our audience here from Simon Curtis, and wants to know, do you think that the coronavirus will represent a seismic shift in the way we do business kind of moving forward? Is it forever changed, do you think?
I think so. I think, you know, I'm not a fortune teller, but I think, I mean, this is not doing business, but just the fact of shaking hands, I'm finding myself that I don't see a reason for me to shake hands in the future.
It's all about elbow bump now.
I don't see that's a big deal anymore. I think we're going to start becoming less, you know, touchy feely with shaking hands and, you know, the things like that. I think it's going to change technology, possibly. I think there's opportunities. I always try to think, and Audrey knows this, I always try to think of what is the opportunity? Where's there going to be change for the betterment of all of us here? I think something's going to come out of it. I really was, you know, it was interesting, Jonathan, just popped in my head. I was watching this video clip from Bill Gates from 2015. Did you guys see this thing?
Yes.
He talks all about what's going to happen, and sure enough, it happens. So I think we're going to become way more prepared for stuff like this. I think we're going to have testing kits available to us fast. I think there will be changes because of this. I think socially, I think, and also with probably technology solutions to be able to detect things like this and stop them.
So, I mean, I say American ingenuity is going to lead the way, and Pittsburgh will be the point of that spear. Simple as that.
Well, I love the way that you made reference to the water cooler. So what is the new water cooler?
Well, you know, with Slack, okay, there are private chats that go on. So that's the sort of private chat water cooler stuff that goes on.
And what about some synergy in terms of the entire community right now, in terms of the tech ecosystem? Are you seeing anything that maybe we should be thinking about or trying to do? I mean, these kinds of conversations that we're having today, we're going to have them every day, and we hope to continue to build the community. But as leaders, I think very often we are a little alone in terms of the journey. We're trying to be really great leaders and be resilient. So how are you taking care of yourself? What advice do you have in terms of just taking care of yourself? Because you have to be on 24/7.
Taking care of myself, I'm doing the same things we're all doing. But I also have to be the leader during this time, right? I think we all have to be the leaders of our companies during this time, or the leaders in our organizations, to try to show that there's a path. I mean, I think, the first reaction for most employees is fear. And I think it's our obligation to be steady and calm, reassuring. How can tech companies in the city work together? I think just what you guys are doing right here is a great thing. I'm sure from this, you're going to have ideas that are going to pop up. I was talking to somebody this morning who runs an organization, and they don't use technology as a platform, but this is going to drive them to start using technology as a platform to communicate their message. So I think things like that will happen. I think I'm very encouraged. You guys do events for local businesses to work with the large companies here. I'd like to see more of that happening. We are in the midst of working with a large company here, a retailer, one of the largest in the country, that is going to start working with us. Now, would they have worked with us if this didn't happen? Possibly. But I noticed that all of a sudden people are wanting to work with us more. So I'm hoping that within our technology ecosystem that spurs people to say, listen, we need to work together more.
Absolutely.
And actually, if I can reinforce that, just through the week of calls that I've had, the amount of people who are actually in the same sectors, in the same markets, are actually asking ways to talk to their competitors, because they see that this is an opportunity for them to get stronger.
Yeah.
And whereas a week ago, I never would have had those kinds of conversations with folks. So we will gel. I think we will gel, and we'll continue to do that. But I don't want to be Pollyanna about it. I think these next couple of weeks will be important for the entire community to maintain these conversations and connections, or these water cooler sidebar conversations as well. So are there any other questions out there on chat? Jonathan, do you see anything?
Yeah, we may not be able to get to all of these, but any ones that we don't, we're going to give them to Jason, and he can hopefully respond to you. Something from Joe Staffuri here I think is really interesting. Would you agree that this is more of a humanitarian crisis versus purely an economic problem? It seems to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a humanitarian issue, clearly. I'm speaking just in terms of a business owner when it comes to kind of looking at the economics and what does it mean, because yes, this is clearly it's a virus. People are dying from this. This is not a conversation about just economics. It's both. We also have to be conscious of the economy going down, and what are we doing to protect our employees? So I think that's also something that's on my mind.
Definitely.
It's trying to take care of people, and not just thinking about the virus, but also thinking about how I can survive so that I can keep food on people's tables.
Absolutely.
Right. That kind of was the center of the question was, if, I went through hell, Jason, I went through 1987. I went through 2001. I went through 2008. And the complications on this one, again, is the humanitarian side to it. And I think that we need to really have a little bit of a different set of tools that we put out. So the standard economic model levers aren't working correctly. And I'm looking to see, again, even at the grassroots, what we can do differently as organizations.
What would you suggest?
What we're doing is we've been remote always, so no change in the way our company operates. But we are seeing a real shift toward people interested in the positive psychology that was so difficult for us to sell to anybody. The psychological measures that nobody really worries about much when the stock market's going up 25% a year, but we're starting to see a lot more people that want to understand the organizations on the humanitarian level more than just the fiscal operations of the organization. So it's interesting times for sure.
Absolutely. I think we have time for one more question, maybe, Audrey. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we Well, let's wrap it up with something upbeat. There's really some great questions in terms of even logistics and supply chain and things coming back to the US. We'll save that and make sure that Jason has a chance to answer that. But I think that we, you know, tagging ourselves by elbows and hopefully having some real-time connections, I'm hoping will make us a little bit more respectful of one another and understand that we're all in this together, no matter, you know, what we are doing. We have 2 minutes left, but I want to make sure that people have an opportunity for some more questions. I'm reading some notes that if you can, Jason, could you stay a couple of minutes longer?
Sure.
Okay. So here's a question that we have. Hang on, I'm looking at it right now. And let's see. What do you think about the federal government diverting a large portion of aid to indemnify insurance companies to payouts? Are you ready to answer any of that normally aren't covered, to better use federal aid to keep businesses open in lieu of revenue and loss?
Gee, I couldn't comment on that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. And here, let's see. This is from someone. Our team has been focusing from a content perspective on being factual, but keeping our tone aspirational, forward thinking, hopeful, how to plan for after the dust settles. So that's a statement.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Regarding the conversations with the bigger companies who may not have normally wanted to work with you, did you reach out to them? And how do startups reach out to buyers without seeming too opportunistic during this pandemic?
You know, that's one of the things we said when I sat on at an executive meeting middle of March when this was going on. I said, we're going to have a hiring freeze, but we're not going to exploit this situation, because we could easily do that with gift card business. What we want to do is have a helpful approach to what we're trying to accomplish. So the question about the bigger companies, why were they willing to take our calls now and not willing to before? Because again, I think it's with a gift card product, they're looking to get cash today. So this is a product that actually will help them to get cash today. So I think, you know, yes, it could be because of what's happening that we're working with them. I think it has something to do with it, but it also, I want to think that they are looking at, hey, how can we help companies like ours right now? When in the past, maybe they said, well, we don't really care so much. It's not our priority, that we're becoming a priority.
Well, Jason, it's 12:30.
Yep.
And
thank you, Audrey.
A whole bunch of questions. I want to thank everyone out there. If we need to make this longer for our daily sessions, we will. I imagine that tomorrow it will be longer. I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. My hat's off to you, Jason, for being so candid. And that is what we intend from these conversations, for you to be candid and real. And that matters to all of us. I thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Jonathan, for co-hosting this. And thank you for everyone for your chats. We will be here same time tomorrow at noon. Don't miss it. And remember, we've recorded this session, and also stay tuned for this afternoon for some updates from Governor Wolfe. So thank you all, and we stay in touch.
And thanks to Huntington
Stay
Bank.
positive. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.
Yeah.